Mark was an avid reader of Reddit stories and often spent late nights scrolling through various subreddits, reading posts and comments. He enjoyed the eerie and supernatural stories that gave him a sense of thrill and excitement. He had read many stories about ghosts, demons, and other scary creatures, but they had never affected him in the real world. One night, as he was browsing a particularly eerie subreddit, he began to feel a sense of unease. The hairs on the back of his neck stood up, and he felt as though he was being watched. He tried to shake off the feeling and continued to read, but the unease only grew stronger. As he continued to read, he noticed strange noises coming from outside his apartment. It sounded like footsteps, but when he looked out the window, there was no one there. The feeling of being watched continued to grow stronger, and he started to see shadows moving in the corners of his vision. Mark tried to ignore these feelings and continue with his normal routine. However, strange things began to happen around him. His phone would ring at odd hours of the night, and when he picked up, there was no one on the other end. Objects around his apartment would move on their own, and he would hear whispers and murmurs from empty rooms. One night, Mark woke up to find a strange figure standing at the foot of his bed. It was a humanoid figure, but it had no face. It was as if its features had been erased, leaving only smooth, featureless skin. The figure seemed to be staring at him, and Mark felt a sense of dread wash over him. Over the next few days, Mark noticed that the faceless figure was following him wherever he went. It would appear in the reflection of a window or mirror, or in the shadows of a dark alley. It seemed to be getting closer and closer, and Mark began to feel as though he was living in a creepypasta story. Mark tried to rationalize what was happening to him. Maybe he was just hallucinating or going insane. But the more he tried to deny it, the stronger the faceless figure's presence became. Finally, one night, Mark decided to confront the figure. He turned around to face it, but as he did, he saw his own face on the creature's blank canvas. It was as if the creature was trying to take his face and wear it as its own. Mark let out a scream, and the creature vanished into thin air. From that day on, Mark was a changed man. His once handsome and youthful face began to fade away. He started to lose his memory and his sense of self. The faceless creature had taken everything from him, and Mark knew he was living a creepypasta story. As his face began to vanish, Mark knew that his time was running out. He tried to warn others, but no one believed him. They thought he was just making up stories for attention. But Mark knew the truth. He was trapped in a creepypasta story, and he could never escape.